Hello once again, my friends. Sifu Sylvain Chamberlain here with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Now we reach a pivotal point in the Lotus Sutra, chapter 14. And before I get into it, Daimoku Sancho, very critical. This is a very important chapter. So here we go. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo Nam Myoho Renge Kyo Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Okay. You know, I'm going to say something like you can stop me. Sometimes I crack myself up. Okay. Chapter 14 of the 28th chapter Lotus Sutra. Safe and easy practice, also called the happy life, or for the purposes of our discussion and my elucidation of this chapter, I'm going to call it direct instruction, because that's really what it is. So far, we've had a lot of discussion about how the Buddha teaches, how Shakyamuni spread the teaching, how in this ceremony he's going to drop the actual practice, the actual expedient practice for attaining Buddhahood right now, quickly, not lifetime after lifetime. That's a whole hyperbole of explanation. We've seen everybody in the ceremony ask for assurance. Now that they've received their assurances, they've all committed to the Bodhisattva practice at all costs. This has been the evolution so far. And now Manjushri, I believe it is, we'll find out in a moment, stands up and goes, okay, so we get it. This practice, this great vehicle, this Bodhisattva way, this is what we've been studying to understand for this over 40 years of following you around. And we have a strong mind. We have a strong determination. But so when we leave here today, what do? I mean, it's great to have a strong mind, a strong determination, a strong will, a strong desire, a strong commitment, but we still have this daily life we have to live. So how do we live like bodhisattvas? How do we behave? How do we promote correctly this Buddha way, this Bodhisattva way? Good question, don't you think? So this is why this chapter, I feel, is grossly underrated in most of the ritual practices of Nichiren Buddhism. And I don't know why. It's a traditional, centuries-old practice. And I'm not complaining or denigrating it in any way. I'm just saying that I want you to really perk up your ears here, because this is going to answer a lot of questions that always come up about, once you start the practice, you learn to chant, you do Gongyo, there's a lot of these hurdles you have to go through, and there's tremendous awakenings that come along the way, and it's very exciting. But once you settle into your practice, whether it takes a year or 5 years or 3 years, at some point you're going to go, other than these ritual practices, how do I live my life in accord with these teachings, right? So here we go. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva, the Great One, Prince of the Dharma, said to the Buddha, quote, "World-honored one, rare indeed are such bodhisattvas. Respectfully obeying the Buddha, they have made great vows that in the evil age to come they will defend, embrace, read, recite, and teach this Dharma Flower Sutra, this Myoho Renge Kyo. World-honored one, how will these bodhisattvas, the great ones, be able to teach this sutra in the evil age to come?" The Buddha responded to Manjushri, quote, "If any bodhisattva great ones want to teach this sutra in the evil age to come," which begins tomorrow, "they should dwell at peace in 4 teachings." Oh, this is new. Haven't heard about this till now. All right. First, they should dwell at peace in bodhisattva practices and associations, so that they will be able to preach this sutra to living beings. Okay, I think we've covered the practices, right? The chanting, the daimoku. Now with Nichiren, we have the focal point of the Buddha treasure tower that he talked about here. That's first. Manjushri, what do I mean by the practices of Bodhisattva great ones? Okay. If a Bodhisattva great one is always patient, is gentle and agreeable, is never violent, and never gets alarmed, and if, moreover, such a Bodhisattva does not act in such a way as to become attached to anything, but perceives the nature of the reality of all things, not acting, not discriminating, this is what I call the practices of the Bodhisattva great ones. Oh, he's not talking about the rituals. He's talking about how we behave throughout our day. Well, these are pretty high asks, aren't they? Being as we're human. And as much time as we might spend being gentle and agreeable, oh man, never perturbed, never confronted with something where, man, those emotions just trigger, right? This is the difficulty of the practice. This is what takes courage to commit to. The chanting, the meditation, the study, that's all really, really important. I don't mean to say it isn't. But the way that you act when you're not doing those things, that's how you teach. That's what he's saying. You want to know how to teach this? This is the first order of business. When you pull your head out of the books, when you stop chanting and walk away from the Butsudan, when you enter society, because that's a bodhisattva, not somebody in a monastery. You're safe in a monastery. You can be calm and quiet all day. Other than going stir crazy, you can spend a whole year without saying a word, right? But try to do that in the middle of Walmart. It's not so easy. Okay. But this is the instruction. Bodhisattvas are monks among the people. This is why I've adopted the suffix to my name, Nyudo. It's Japanese for a monk amongst the people. I didn't adopt that as a badge of saying I earned this. I've adopted it as a tattoo to say I'm working on this. Dwell in peace in Bodhisattva practices and associations. What do I mean by practices of the Bodhisattva Great Ones? If a Bodhisattva Great One is always patient, is gentle and agreeable, is never violent, and never gets alarmed, and if moreover such a Bodhisattva does not act in such a way as to become attached to anything. Eesh. Now he's going to get into that, and you're going to know what he means by attached to anything, but perceives the nature of reality of all things, empty, not acting, not discriminating. This is what I mean, not acting. Because every action is a presumption. So if you feel like you need to take action, it's because you're attached to, even if it's just the result, you're attached. This is tough. This is maybe why people don't concentrate on this chapter, because this is the courageous, tough part of being a Buddhist. This isn't the pretty veneer. This isn't all the fun little things you do. This is hard. And that's the first thing. What do I mean by the associations of Bodhisattva Great Ones? Bodhisattva Great Ones should not be closely associated with kings, princes, ministers, or office heads. In other words, don't ingratiate yourself to power of any sort. From kings all the way down to the manager of the staples you work at. Don't ingratiate yourself with them. He doesn't mean don't talk to them. He means your mental attitude, your behavior shouldn't be brown noser. Shouldn't be the other side either. Antithesis and negating him or her. You just should behave within yourself. They should not associate closely with non-Buddhists. So I'm living in the South right now, in Mississippi, what a lot of people call the Bible Belt. And every day I'm told to have a blessed day, or to come visit our church, or to come speak at our church. I can't do those things because I can't associate with those people. For myriad reasons, think them up. It's not that they'll delude me, it's that my presence has meaning. And if I allow my Buddhist presence to have meaning in their circles, I'm deluding the Buddhist teachings. I'm offending my Buddha mind, the Buddha mind. I am working against Buddhism when I offer myself as a bridge to these inferior and ignorant teachings. Do you see? As a Bodhisattva, I can't allow that to happen. I must uphold the singular truth of Buddhism and the true nature of all things without delusion, without straying. Don't associate closely with non-Buddhist Brahmins, Jains, and so on, or with the writers of worldly literature or books praising non-Buddhist teachings. They should not associate closely with materialists or anti-materialists. Who's a materialist? A capitalist. Who's a non-materialist? A flower child? A communist? They should not be closely associated with dangerous sports, such as boxing, wrestling, or with dancers or actors or others who create illusions. This is a very difficult thing for me personally because I'm a painter, I'm an artist. I'm trying to say truths in paint. How much of an illusionist I am, See, I haven't been able to paint for a while. I think it's a natural progression of my practice. Neither should they associate closely with people of the Khandala caste or with those who raise pigs, sheep, poultry, or dogs, or with hunters or fishermen, or with others engaged in such evil pursuits. Why are they evil pursuits? Because they don't respect life. That's a tough one too, especially where I'm living. When such people occasionally come to them, a bodhisattva should teach the Dharma for them, expecting nothing in return. In other words, when they try to befriend me, they need to sense from me, oh, that's the guy who believes this, or doesn't believe in this, or that guy, basically, I become a representation of Buddhism to them. But I don't expect anything in return, because whatever they do with that in their deluded mind is theirs. It doesn't belong to me, and I don't need to know it, because it may influence me, and I don't want to be attached to anything. That can seem solitary, but really what it is it's a gold standard for being stalwart with a strong mind, not imposing myself on others, not imposing yourselves on others. Bodhisattvas don't do that, but their presence should be imposing of a singular truth. Softly, agreeably. Do you see where the power comes from in this? It's very non-Western, I would say. By sticking to a singular point of view, gently, without forcing it, we create a very powerful center. Right? Okay. This is part of the Eightfold Path, by the way. If you study the Eightfold Path, he's not saying anything new. What he is saying anew is, this is how a bodhisattva behaves. When such people occasionally come, blah, blah, blah. Further, they should not associate closely with monks or nuns or with laymen or laywomen who seek to become Shravakas. Nor should they talk with them or visit them, and they should not stay with them, whether in the same room, recreation area, or lecture hall. They should not join in their activities. If at times when such people come to one, a bodhisattva should teach the Dharma appropriately, expecting nothing in return. So basically, he's just equated Hinayana Buddhists, Buddhists who seek only to be Shravakas, as not on the correct path. And possibly because they practice some forms of Buddhism, could negatively influence the bodhisattva. So the bodhisattva has to be very strong in mind, presenting only the bodhisattva way, the Buddha way, and not ingratiate those people with our company. They need to come to us, not the other way around. And when they come to us, we need to teach only the Dharma, Myoho Renge Kyo, lest they convert to the Bodhisattva way or leave us as people who will not belong to their Shravaka thinking. Manjushri, a Bodhisattva great one, should not teach the Dharma to women in a way that might arouse passionate thoughts, nor should he take pleasure in seeing women. Man, guys, and this applies ipso facto to women, you shouldn't be teaching the Dharma to men in order to arouse them or knowing that it might. This is the biggest, I think, hurdle for human beings. Women in general are very enamored of strong men. And so a bodhisattva who teaches the Dharma is by nature strong-minded, a strong man. So it is very, very slippery to teach women. Even in the most serious way, it becomes the responsibility of the women to not get romantically or sexually or sensually excited simply because they're learning the Dharma. If they do, then they're not learning the Dharma. But this is just as hard for men. It just points out a very, very innate weakness. It's in our lizard brain. We are a sexual species. Okay? So that's a tough one. That's why a lot of organizations divide the men and women into different guidance groups. So women can guide women and men can guide men, just to avoid this absolute organic samsaric reality. It's so strong. And he goes further in that. If he enters someone else's house, he should not talk with girls, unmarried women, or widows, nor should he become friendly with any of the 5 kinds of unmanly men. 5 kinds. I mean, 2,600 years ago, Shakyamuni Buddha understood gay men, bisexual men, transgender men, all of this kind of thing, right? He should not enter someone else's home alone. If for some reason he has to enter someone's house alone, he should concentrate on thinking only of the Buddha. There's that strong mind again. If he teaches the Dharma to women, so it can happen, he should not display his teeth by smiling or allow his chest to be seen. So this does 2 things. It says to men, you can't offer any kind of positive reinforcement to your attractiveness or your openness to sexuality. But at the same time, you are then critically aware of your own beingness, your own manness, and your own, shall we say, innate mechanisms of attracting women. So it's your own sexuality that you have to hold in check. Not even for the sake of the Dharma should he ever become intimate, much less for any other reason. So even if you've deluded yourself into thinking that if I'm intimate with this woman, she'll come practice. Women will use that. They'll say, stay with me tonight, and I promise I'll come to your church, or I'll come to your temple, or I'll come chant with you. Or you can put up a butsudan in my house, and I'll take a gohanzen, and we could chant together. Just sleep with me. I mean, this sexuality is a very, very strong attachment. He takes no pleasure in having young pupils, novices, or children, nor in sharing the same teacher with them. Always preferring meditation and seclusion, he should learn to quiet his mind. Manjushri, this is the first kind of association he should have. Further, in other words, study, chant, become a bodhisattva, become the Buddha way. It's not that you cloister yourself into a monastery. It's that in the presence of others, you become a stalwart bodhisattva. Further, a bodhisattva great one views all things as empty, as they really are. Things by themselves should not be regarded as upside down or moving or receding or revolving. They are like empty space. insubstantial, beyond words, unborn, non-emerging, non-arising, nameless, formless, truly without substance, innumerable, unlimited, boundless, without hindrances. It is only through causes and conditions that they exist, only through perversity that they are born. This is why I teach that one should always delight in seeing the character of things. This is what I call the second kind of association that Bodhisattva great ones should have. So this is 2 out of 4. Then he goes into verse. If there are any bodhisattvas in the evil age to come who with fearless hearts want to teach this sutra, these are the practices and associations they should enter. Kings and princes, ministers and office heads, those involved in dangerous sports, Khandala people, non-Buddhists, and Brahmins should always be avoided. Also, extremely arrogant people who are attached to a small vehicle, Hinayana, and like to study its 3 collections, should not be associated with. This is very, very specific. Nor should one associate with monks who fail to observe precepts arhats in name only, with nuns who like to laugh and play, or with lay women deeply attached to the 5 desires, or seeking a way to extinction in the present, setting fire to yourself, suicide. That's seeking a way to extinction in the present. Again, it's very directed at Hinayana beliefs. One should not associate it with any of them. But if such people do come to a bodhisattva with sincere intention to hear about the Buddha way, as I was saying earlier, then a bodhisattva without fear and accepting nothing in return can teach the Dharma for them. Come over to from the dark side. With widows and unmarried women and any kind of unmanly men, they should never associate or become close friends. Nor should they associate with butchers, meat cutters, hunters, or fishermen who hurt and kill for profit. Now that's very specific. Might ease your mind a little bit there. Or with those who sell meat to make a living, or those who display and sell women. With such people as these, they should not associate at all. And with those in dangerous sports, wrestling and other games, or with lewd women and the like, they should never associate. One should never be alone in a room to teach the Dharma to a woman. If one does teach the Dharma to a woman, there should be no flirting or laughing. When one enters a village to beg for food, he should take along another monk. And if there is no other monk, he should concentrate on thinking of the Buddha. These, then, are what are called practices and associations. By maintaining these 2, one can teach safely and easily. Moreover, one should not hold to things as higher, middle, or lower, constituted or unconstituted, real or unreal. Also, one should not make distinctions, saying, this is a man, this is a woman. One should not seek to grasp things, know them, or see them. These, then, are what are called bodhisattva practices. All things are empty and without being, without permanence, neither arising nor ending. This is called that which wise people associate. This is called that with which wise people associate. By perverse distinctions, all things are or are not, are real or unreal, are born or unborn. In a quiet place, one can master one's mind and heart, dwelling as peacefully and unmoved as Mount Sumeru, regarding all things as non-substantial, like empty space, without solidity, not born, not emerging, not moving, not regressing. Always having the same character. This is what is called proper association. If any monk takes up these practices, or this kind of association after my extinction, when he teaches this sutra, he will not be afraid or weak. When a bodhisattva at times enters a quiet room and with correct ideas views things in accord with their meaning, and arising from meditation for the sake of the king, princes, ministers, and people, Brahmins and others, opens up, explains, and teaches this sutra, he will become tranquil and not afraid or weak. Manjushra, this is called the first teaching in which bodhisattvas should dwell at peace, enabling them in future generations to teach Myoho Renge Kyo. I could base my whole practice on this chapter. This is hard. This is what to keep in mind every day, every moment of every day. A lot of this, just out of my own encouragement, after close to 40 years of practice, I can tell you that the more you practice, the more these behaviors will develop and become a part of who you are without tremendous effort. But there are still some of the things in here that he talks about that are going to remain effort. I don't know. I can't tell the future, but they're not easy. And it depends on what age you are too. Far easier for a 70-year-old man to not be interested in women than it is for a 25-year-old or 20-year-old, right? Yes, this is not an easy practice. And when I talk to men, I'm talking to women too. I'm just not a woman, so I can't see the world from your perspective. But certainly you understand. The same applies to you identically. Further, Manjushri, after the extinction of the Tathagata during the time of the decline of the Dharma, those who want to teach this sutra should make these safe and easy practices part of their lives. When they preach or read a sutra orally, they should take no pleasure in telling of the errors of other people or sutras, nor should they have contempt for other Dharma teachers, or speak of the likes and dislikes or strong and weak points of other people. They should not refer to Shravakas by name and discuss their faults, or by name praise their good points. They should not allow themselves to become resentful or hateful. If they keep such a peaceful and happy disposition, listeners will not oppose them. To difficult questions, they should not respond with the Dharma of a small vehicle, but only explain things with the great vehicle, so that all-inclusive wisdom will be obtained. Then the world-honored one, wanting to say what he meant, once again spoke in verse. Bodhisattvas always delight in teaching the Dharma in a peaceful, comforting way. In a clean and pure place, they spread a mat, anoint themselves with oil, and wash away the dust and dirt. They put on a new clean robe, and clean within and without. Sit calmly on a Dharma seat, and teach in accord with questions. If monks or nuns are present, laymen or laywomen, kings or princes, officials, gentlemen, or ordinary people, they teach the fine and wonderful meaning of the Dharma with a peaceful face. If there are difficult questions, they should answer according to the meaning of the Dharma, with causes and conditions, and with parables. They should lay them out and analyze them. By these skillful means, they will cause all to aspire to awakening, to advance steadily, and enter the Buddha way. They rid themselves of laziness and lazy thinking, free from all kinds of worry, teaching the Dharma with compassion day and night. They constantly advance teachings of the unexcelled way. With various causal explanations and innumerable parables, they reveal them to the living, causing all to rejoice. Clothing and bedding, food, drink, and medicine, for all such things they have no anticipation. They concentrate only on, and this is because these are things that are offered in that day as support to the monks from those who don't have wealth to offer of any sort. They offer their own clothing. They sew robes together for the monks. People still can do that today, but the point here is that there's no anticipation for them. There's no, oh boy, I'm going to teach somebody today. I wonder what I'm going to get. I wonder what I'm going to get. Right? None of that. My analogies can be pretty funny. They concentrate only on reasons for preaching the Dharma. Their desire is to achieve the Buddha way and cause others to do the same, bringing them great gain and trouble-free offerings. After my extinction, if there are monks who are able to preach this Myoho Renge Kyo, they will be free from jealousy and anger, from distress and obstacles. People will not abuse them. They will be free from fear, neither attacked with swords or sticks, nor driven away. Because they are always patient, wise people will be good at developing themselves in this way, and be peaceful and happy, as described previously. The blessings of such people are so beyond calculation, tens of millions of billions of eons would not be enough to describe them. I believe that, just from what he's described as behavior that is so difficult to attain. Yeah, I can imagine that the merits and the beauty that I would receive from achieving all of those completely, not just me, but all of you as well. I can't even imagine. Again, Manjushri, at the end of the age, when the Dharma is about to die, Bodhisattva great ones who receive and embrace, read and recite the sutra should not be envious or deceitful, and should not slight or abuse others who study the Buddha way or seek out their strong and weak points. If there are monks or nuns, laymen or laywomen who seek to become sharakas or seek to become pratyeka Buddhas or seek the Bodhisattva way, one should not make trouble for them, causing them to have doubts or regrets, by saying such things to them as, you are far from the way and will never be able to have all-inclusive wisdom. Why? Because you are undisciplined people and lazy about the way. Moreover, one should not indulge in small talk about the teachings or argue over them. One should think of all the living with great compassion. One should think of Tathagatas as loving fathers. One should think of Bodhisattvas as great teachers. With the deepest sincerity, one should always revere and worship the great Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, and one should teach the Dharma equally to all living beings. Just because some follow the Dharma, one should not teach more to some and less to others. Even for those who deeply cherish the Dharma, one should not teach more of the Dharma. Interesting. Manjushri, if among the Bodhisattva great ones at the end of the age when the Dharma is about to die, there are some who have fulfilled this third kind of safe and easy practice, when they teach this sutra, nothing will upset them. They will find good fellow students to read and recite this sutra with them, and a large number of people will come to hear and receive it from them. After hearing it, the people will embrace it. After embracing it, will recite it. After reciting it, will teach it. And after teaching it, will copy or lead others to copy it. They will make offerings to the sutra rolls, revering, respecting, and praising them. Then the world-honored one, wanting to proclaim this teaching again, spoke in verse. This is the third thing. If you would teach this sutra, you should get rid of jealousy and anger, arrogance, deceit, and dishonesty, and always do what is honest and right. You should have contempt for no one, nor quibble about the teachings, nor cause others to have doubt or regret, by saying you will never become a Buddha. A child of the Buddha teaching and the Dharma will always be gentle and patient and compassionate towards all, never become negligent. I just paused for a moment thinking, negligence is a big word. Comes with a lot of responsibility. Toward the great bodhisattvas in all directions who practice the way out of sympathy for all, one should have reverence and respect, saying, these are my great teachers. One should think of world-honored Buddhas as unexcelled fathers, ridding oneself of arrogance, One should teach the Dharma without obstacle. Such is the third teaching. The wise should keep and observe it. Such a wholehearted, safe, and easy practice will be honored by countless multitudes of people. Manjushri, at the end of the age, when the Dharma is about to die, Bodhisattva great ones who receive and embrace this Myoho Renge Kyo should have a spirit of great kindness toward lay people and monastics, and a spirit of great compassion towards those who are not yet bodhisattvas. So there it is again. I get these questions. Oh, pardon me. Ooh, tickle. About how do I join a monastery? Where do I go to join a monastery? Blah 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 blah. And I'm constantly pointing out that monastic practice is no longer the way. That's an ancient practice, leading people to understand. But that today you can practice directly the Buddha way. So here he is talking about it, saying that we have to have a spirit of great kindness toward lay people and monastics, because there are still people in monasteries, and a spirit of great compassion toward those who are not yet bodhisattvas. So there it is. If you're a monastic, you're not a bodhisattva. And bodhisattva is the only way to practice fully, for full enlightenment. I'm not looking down on monastics. I'm just saying that you're creating your own obstacle. And it's absolutely not necessary. They should think such people have missed the Tathagata's preaching of the Dharma by skillful means according to what is appropriate. They have not heard or known or realized or inquired or believed or understood. Yet, though they have not inquired about, believed in, or understood this sutra, when I have attained supreme awakening, wherever I am, using divine powers and the powers of wisdom, I will lead them to take this Dharma into their lives. And that may be through meeting you. Manjusri, after the extinction of the Tathagata, Bodhisattva great ones who have fulfilled this fourth teaching will be free from error when they teach this Dharma. They will always be given offerings and be revered, honored, and praised by monks and nuns, laymen and laywomen, kings and princes, ministers and people, Brahmins and ordinary citizens, and by others. Heavenly beings in the sky also, in order to hear the Dharma, will always follow them. Whether they are in a village or a town or in a secluded forest, when someone comes wanting to put difficult questions to them, day or night, for the sake of the Dharma, heavenly beings will always guard and protect them, making all their hearers rejoice. Why? Because this sutra is protected by the divine powers of all the past, future, and present Buddhas. Manjushri, in countless lands, not even the name of this Dharma flower sutra can be heard. Not even Myoho Renge Kyo can be heard. How much less can it be seen, received, and embraced, read, and recited? Manjushri, it is like a powerful wheel-turning saintly king who wants to conquer other countries by force. But the petty kings will not obey his orders. The wheel-turning king calls up his various armies and goes to suppress them. Seeing his soldiers distinguish themselves in the war, the king is greatly pleased and rewards them according to their merit, giving them fields, houses, villages, and towns, or robes and personal ornaments, or various kinds of treasures such as gold, silver, lapis lazuli, seashell, agate, coral, and amber, or elephants, horses, carriages, servants, and subjects. The only thing he does not give is the bright jewel in his top knot. Why? Because this jewel can only be on the head of a king. If he gave it away, all the king's followers would certainly be astonished and suspicious. Manjushri, the Tathagata is also like this. He uses powers of meditation and wisdom to win lands for the Dharma and is king of the threefold world. But the devil kings are unwilling to submit. The Tathagata's wise and holy generals fight against them. With those who distinguish themselves, he is pleased. And in the midst of the four groups, he teaches sutras causing them to rejoice. He gives them the meditations, the liberation, the flawless roots and powers, and other treasures of the teachings. In addition, he gives them the city of nirvana, tells them that they have attained extinction, and guiding them so that they all rejoice. Yet for them he does not teach Myoho Renge Kyo. Manjushri, when the wheel-turning king sees that some soldiers have distinguished themselves, he is also extremely pleased that now at last he gives to him the incredible jewel so long worn on his head and never ceases carelessly given to anyone. So it is also with the Tathagata. As the great Dharma king of the threefold world, he is teaching and transforming all the living with the Dharma. When he sees his wise and holy army fighting the devils of the five constituent aggregates, the devils of affliction and the devils of death, and winning great distinction and merit, eliminating the three poisons emerging from the threefold world and breaking the nets of the devils, then the Tathagata also is greatly pleased. Though it will meet hostility and be difficult to believe, this Myoho Renge Kyo can lead all the living to comprehensive wisdom. Though it has never before been taught, I now teach it. This is the core, in a way, of the Lotus Sutra as far as teaching goes. This is the way a Bodhisattva practices. Manjushri, this Myoho Renge Kyo, I keep substituting Dharma Flower Sutra or Wonderful Dharma Flower Sutra, because I want you to understand that what he's saying is Myoho Renge Kyo is the secret treasury of the Buddhas, supreme above all sutras, guarded and protected for a long time, and has not been recklessly taught. Today, for the first time, I lay it out for all of you. Then the world-honored one, wanting to say what he meant, once again spoke in verse. One should always endure patiently, with compassion for all, and preach the sutra praised by the Buddha. At the end of the age, those who embrace the sutra must have compassion toward lay people and monastics, and those not yet bodhisattvas. They should think, those who do not hear or believe the sutra suffer a great loss. When I attain the Buddha way, I will teach this Dharma to them by skillful means, that they may dwell within it. This is like a powerful wheel-turning king, who rewards his soldiers who have distinguished themselves in war with many things. Elephants, horses, carriages, personal ornaments, fields and houses, villages and towns, or gives them robes, various kinds of treasures, servants, and other valuable things, giving all such things gladly. But only for the brave and strong who have done difficult things does the king take from his top knot the bright jewel and present it to him. The Tathagata is also like this. So he's telling you that if you want to attain the Buddha way, it's going to take some effort. You have to really dedicate yourself to the Bodhisattva way to attain the Buddha way. Yes, you can attain this in an instant. To hang on to it, that's what we're talking about here. How do you live your life as a Bodhisattva in the search for hanging on to that moment of Buddha mind, the Buddha awakening? The more you chant, the more you meditate, the more you study, the more you can hang on to it. But it's a struggle because we're in samsara, in this human conditioned body. It's not easy. The Tathagata is also like this. He is the king of all things. He has great strength for enduring patiently and a treasure of wisdom. With great compassion, he transforms the world according to the Dharma. He sees all human beings in suffering and agony, seeking liberation and fighting against the devils. For all these living beings, he has taught various things, and as a great skillful means, he has taught these sutras. And when he knows that the living have gained strength through them, at last, for their sake, he teaches this Myoho Renge Kyo. Just as the king took from his top knot the bright jewel and gave it away. Among all the sutras, this sutra is the highest. I have always guarded and protected it, and never recklessly revealed it. This is the right time to teach it for all of you. You know what? I'm going to stop there because we're already at 50 minutes, and I have a time limit on this software. Plus, you know, getting close to an hour is, we've covered a lot of ground. But I want to make sure that you really hear that last stanza. Among all the sutras, this sutra is highest. I have always guarded and protected it and never recklessly revealed it. This is the right time to teach it for all of you. So, again, this is a reference to his past 42 or so years that he's been teaching. He hasn't wanted to recklessly dump this on you. He's wanted to take you slowly toward understanding to the point where you have the capacity to really get it. So here we are. We'll continue this in part 2, a really meaty chapter of the Lotus Sutra. So please take your time, reread it, make comments, let me know what I need to elaborate on. This is a really meaty one. Not to be non-Buddhist or Bodhisattva. Meaty in the sense that it contains a tremendous amount. It's dense with information. Thank you. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge. Thank you so much. Part 2 coming soon. Thanks.